Hey family, listen, if you're like me, life gets crazy and hectic, and sometimes our body needs a little extra love. For years, I've been using something that has been a game changer for me, as well as recommending it to my clients. I'd like to introduce you to Vital Body. It is packed with 37 fruits and vegetables, 19 herbs and spices, prebiotics, 15 strands of probiotics, 21 different enzymes, and I'm telling you what, you get 100% of your daily dose of 21 vitamins and minerals straight from nature. This product contains no GMOs and it is vegan friendly. And here's the best thing, there are no artificial flavors. So if you're ready to kick off your vitality journey and you want to feel better daily, and if you're like me, you want a little extra sleep throughout the night, head on over to vitalbody.com/Monica. And because you are a member of the Black Women Amplified family, they are graciously giving us an extra 20% off of our order. Just use the code MONICA20. Get prepared. I can't wait for you to try it. Head on over to vitalbody.com/Monica and start your vitality journey today.
Welcome, and thank you for tuning in to Black Women Amplified, the podcast. Your host, Monica Wisdom Tyson, brings you downloadable conversations that matter to women around the globe. We discuss all things Black girl magic, amplify our voices, and transform our challenges into triumphs. Monica calls on her league of extraordinary women to push our boundaries, share their expertise, and stories of personal transformation. Welcome your host of Black Women Amplified, Monica Wisdom Tyson.
Hello, Black Women Amplified family. It is your girl, Monica Wisdom, and welcome to Season 3. This is the self-care season and the season of you. As I told you, I'm going to switch some things around. I'm bringing on some incredible guests and co-hosts are joining me this season for specific episodes. And let me just say, I'm so glad to be back recording Season 3. Season 2 was phenomenal. I am really grateful for all the women that said yes to our conversations. I hope that you got a chance to listen to them. If you're new to the podcast, please go back and check out Season 2. We have incredible conversations with women from everybody from Broadway to theater to music to business, all the things. And this season is about you, a conversation with you. And what sparked this season, because I wasn't clear, it took me a minute to figure out, what do I want to talk about? What do I feel needs to be talked about? And how am I going to bring this conversation to you? I think it's important with everything going on in the world that we have some conversations amongst us, Black folk, Black women specifically. And anybody who's here to support us and be an ally, you are welcome. But this is a conversation between us. So if you're listening and you're not in this squad, I hope you learn some things and I hope you share it with people. If you're in this squad, be prepared to take notes this season. Because I was sparked, as I've mentioned, I went to, over the summer, I got my certificate in women's entrepreneurship from Cornell University. The opportunity came up. I said yes. I completed the program. I'm very excited about it. I have to say, I really did it for my aunt, although I enjoyed it and it was challenging. But I've been an entrepreneur for many years, and just seeing it from the academic perspective, it let me know that I knew more than I thought I did. And it really helped me to hone in on gender situations, because my come from is always as being a Black woman, which I think is a unique experience on this planet. Anywhere in the world that you are, you know what I'm talking about. It's a very unique experience to be a Black woman, whether you're in America, Belgium, Australia, New Zealand, Canada, South America, Europe, all the places, the continent. It's a very unique experience that all of us connect in some level because we are Black women. And as I was doing some research for a project, I used Black Women Amplified as my business model to do the assignments that I had. And in doing research, I realized that there was not a lot of research done on Black women. You could find research that went all the way back to the 1800s for European women. You could find Chinese, Asian information that went back centuries. But for Black women, specifically in America, there was a lack of information, and it really bothered me. And then as I was looking, because part of our project was to find data that backed up our theories. So because I couldn't find the data, I did run across an article that was very disturbing to me. And it has really like I just can't let it go. So I said, well, I'm going to dedicate a whole season to this. As I tell you about the article, it's not that I'm focusing on the article. I'm focusing on our vitality and self-care, because we can change this. We can become our own advocates. We can become our own heroes, because the one thing I've learned in all of my years is nobody's coming to save us. So the article is in the Yale School of Medicine, and the article is entitled Black Women Excluded from Medical Studies Due to Weathering. That already, first of all, I had to look up weathering. I'm like, weathering? And I think I talked about this in a previous episode in season 2, but I wanted to bring it into an expansive conversation throughout season 3. And what bothered me was not just the information that said that we're excluded from important studies because we are aging quicker due to racism, but the fact that they said, well, they're going to die early anyway, why bother? So instead of helping us extend our lives, they're just saying, hey, this is what's happening, and we're not going to do anything to help. Now, I can't say that for the entire medical community. This is how I took the article, and I took it very seriously, and I've showed it to some other people that I bring on to have conversations with. And that's why I want to focus on our vitality, because we are so powerful as Black women. We have the ability to not only change the lives of others, but to change our own very life. And I don't think that we're aware of the racism in the medical field. We talk about maternal wellness in the hospitals, but we don't talk about all the other things. When you go to the doctor and they say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you. Well, how would they know? They haven't studied us. I remember I had a client who she's very fair skinned, and she was my hair client when I was a hairstylist. And I did her hair very spiky, very rock and roll. She went to a doctor who was Black, but she was British. And she's very, very fair skinned. She could easily pass for an Italian, Jewish person or whatever. So the doctor examined her, and at the end of the exam, when she came back to get her test results, the doctor asked her, well, what are you going to do today? She said, well, I need to go get my relaxer, and I need to do this and do that. And she said, relaxer? What do you mean? You get relaxers? She said, yeah, don't all Black girls get relaxers? And the doctor said, this is a Black woman, but she's British, said, you're Black? So she told her she had to redo all of her tests because she was testing her as a white woman. And back then I was like, well, is there a difference? I don't know. I'm a Black girl. I've never said, well, how do you all test white people? Or how do you test Asian people? But what I found out in this article is the data is not there. So she redid her tests, and she ended up finding a different doctor. I'll just say that. I guess she was like, if you can't tell I'm Black, you don't need to be my doctor. But when I read the article in the Yale School of Medicine, it reminded me of that conversation I had had with her maybe 10 years prior. And it really stuck with me because I hear so many stories of women saying, I don't feel good, I don't feel well, and I went to the doctor, they said, nothing's wrong with me. And it goes back to the idea of when you look at the history of Black women in medicine, they tested us and didn't use anesthesia. There's this idea that we don't feel pain and that we don't hurt and that, we don't know what we're talking about. It must be a mental thing. But we know when we're not right. Let me tell you a story. I remember I was coming home. I don't know where I was. This is probably about maybe 15 years ago. And I was coming home. And in my life, I was super busy doing all the things that I love, right? I was working for a magazine. I was working for a music company, still had my full-time salon clientele. So I was doing everything that I love doing, writing, doing this, doing that. And it was amazing. But what I realized was, you know how they say, if you do what you love, it doesn't feel like work. Well, it didn't feel like work in my head, but my body was like, keep going if you want to. So I got off the flight. And at that time, I had a client who owned the Center for Mind-Body Medicine. And so they had all kind of holistic treatments. And my dad was a pharmacist. So early on, I knew that I needed to go an alternative route to see what was really going on with me. I got off the flight. I drove straight to the Center for Mind, Body, Spirit. I didn't have an appointment or anything, but my soul was telling me go, because it literally felt like the left side of my body was about to fall off. Hello, Black Women Amplified family. This is your girl, Monica Wisdom. In honor of season 3, I've created an incredible tool just for you. It is a journal, self-discovery workbook, and coloring book all in one, and it is beautiful. It is available on Amazon right now, and it's also the perfect gift for you to share with your friends. Head on over to Amazon or our show notes. Click the link, make your purchase, and let the self-discovery journey begin. I wasn't having any heart problems or anything like that. I wasn't breathless or anything like that. But it just felt like I was so out of alignment with myself that I knew if I didn't get something done in that moment, then I would end up in the hospital. So I went to her, and she's a nutritionist. She passed away, may she rest in peace, but master's degree in nutrition, super smart. I called her the illness whisperer because I would send my clients to her when they would go to the doctor. This is how I know this conversation. When you were a hairstylist for over 30 years, you had lots of conversations, and you know how you are with your hairstylist. It's a very personal conversation. So I get to hear all the information from the doctor, the therapist, all the stuff. Much of it I will take to my grave, but in this instance, I will share. I get to hear about what happens in those doctor's appointments because it affects what I'm doing as well. If a person has thinning hair, if their hair is falling out, if they're having a reaction to the products that I'm using, if they're having menopause, all the things. So I have to pay attention to what their doctor says so that I know how to adjust what I'm doing. Because I have a very I'm not going to say medical, I'll say scientific approach to when I was a hairstylist. And that came from my dad, who was a scientist. So I hear the stories of what they tell their doctor and what their doctor comes back and says. So because I'm inquisitive and curious, I would get on the Google and say, well, ask your doctor this or ask your doctor that. And I've literally had fights with doctors because sometimes the issues they were having, they would blame me. Well, maybe she's using a new product or maybe she's doing that. It's like, no, that's a whole nother conversation. So when people had those issues, I would send them to Deborah, and then Deborah would fix them. Because it could be a simple issue of nutrition, vitamin deficiency, all the things that these women were not being tested for. So when I was feeling bad, I said, well, let me go see Deborah. She's the illness whisperer. Let me see what's going on with me before I head to a doctor. So I get there and I tell her what's going on. And when I tell you I felt like SHIT, I felt horrible. And she set me up with one of her ladies to give me a massage, but it was not like a regular massage. This was like a healing situation because she asked me all of these questions about what was going on in my life, what I was doing, what I was working on, how I was sleeping, how I was eating. Like it wasn't just come lay down. She literally created a protocol for me. And I don't know what the massage was called. I do not remember. But for the next couple of months, I would go in every week and we would go through the different modalities she would take me through. And I tell you what, by the time I was done, I felt like a brand new person. And so that's when I realized the power of self-care. And I'm not saying don't go to your doctor. Whatever you're doing, stay there. All I'm saying is be aware that there's other things going on. Be aware that you have other choices, and be aware that you can do some research and find out what's going on with you. Because here's the thing. If you're going, you are doing all the things, you're in all the meetings, you belong to all the organizations, and by the time you get home, you wake up the next day and you're still in your suit, something's off balance. Something is off balance. And I want to talk about that because when I read this article, and I will put it in the show notes, I want you to read it. I want you to do your own research. I want you to understand that when they say, oh, there's nothing wrong with you, keep asking questions. And so as we move into this season of self-care, I'm going to cover all different avenues. It could be business, it could be nutrition, it could be political conversations, all the things that bring us an extra added level of stress. It is already stressful enough to be a Black woman in this country, to be a Black woman around the world. So we have to counteract how that is impacting us by really digging deep into our self-care. So when I say self-care, I don't mean going to get massages. I don't mean nail day with the girls. I don't mean brunch with your friends. I mean really doing a self-examination and getting the assistance that you need, whether it's therapy or whatever modalities that are out there. Like really taking the time, clearing off your schedule to put yourself onto the schedule. Because when I'm telling you that this is a problem that nobody's talking about, I don't hear anybody talking about it. I hear it in segments, like everybody's going through therapy. Everybody on the TikTok is talking about the therapy conversations, that they found a great therapist, that they found talk therapy, that they found somatic therapy. But overall, it's a holistic problem. So it's not just about going to therapy. If you're in therapy, stay there. But really do the work of transforming your life. That day when I got off the plane, I realized that if I didn't change something about how I was living my life, that I wouldn't have a life to live. So, not to bring anybody down, but to really understand that we have the power, we have the magic. Because you know how I know we do? Because we do it for other people. How many times have you been out with your girlfriend and said, girl, you don't look good. Maybe you should go to the doctor. Hey, girl, you don't look good. Maybe you should take the day off. Look in the mirror and say the same thing. Look in the mirror and say, hey, girl, hey, what's going on with you today? Okay. You need a little extra water today? Okay. You need some vitamins today? Okay. Do we need to sit down with a nutritionist and change our diet? How are you feeling? How is this feeling? What's going on? How are things with your relationships? Are you feeling fulfilled in your friendships? Like all the things from a 360 view. And when you commit to that, your life will change. I have a friend who's a motivational speaker, and his mantra or his tagline is change your vision, change your life. So I invite you to look at the vision that you have for your life. Look at the things that you have to eliminate. Look at the things that you need to add. It's not just about taking away. It's also what are you going to add to enrich your life? And have fun. Do all the things you're doing. But ask yourself, is there something that I need to eliminate? Or is there something that I need to add? And these are the conversations we're going to have this season. People are doing amazing things in life. And I know that you are doing phenomenal in whatever your role is, and you have your goals and you're building your legacy. But part of your legacy is taking care of yourself, putting yourself first with the understanding that you deserve to be and live well. So you get to define what that is for you. I'm just here to have a conversation about it. So that is what season 3 is in a nutshell. Us having a conversation about what it is to increase our vitality and our longevity. And this isn't about how you eat. This isn't about what vitamins you take. This isn't about the vacations you take. This is about, are you truly in touch with what you need? Are you truly understanding the big picture of what's happening to Black women? Are you truly being an advocate for yourself? This is it's not always going to be fun. Like I always say, sometimes love is tough and hard. But if it gets us to the other side as better people, then it's worth the tough conversations. And every conversation is not going to be tough. I could be talking about a candle or incense, or telling you about the women's retreats that I've been on, or the people that I've studied with. Because the one thing I know for sure is that there is more than one way and more than one path to get to your wellness. So we're going to talk about a few of them. We're going to have some discussions. We're going to have deep discussions. We're going to have silly discussions. Let's make this a fun experience. So remember, we're on YouTube now. You can go to YouTube and subscribe. Over on YouTube, I have the podcast that you can listen to audio-wise, and I also do business tips and ideas. My focus is women entrepreneurs, so I have those conversations over there, as well as on my personal Instagram, Monica Wisdom. And all things Black Women Amplified happens here on the podcast. So please share out with your friends. Engage in the conversation. If you have any questions that you want to know about, if you have any topics that you'd like me to discuss, head on over to the Black Women Amplified Instagram page and DM me. It will give me a notification, and if it works for the conversation, I will add your comment, your idea, and your feedback to what we're doing here. Because here's the thing, there's a lot going on in the world. So many things I have disengaged from. I still have my things I like to watch. I still like to watch The Housewives. I still like to watch some comedy shows and a little bit of shenanigans here and there. But what I'm really focused on is building a space where we can be seen, heard, acknowledged, and loved. That is our mission for this season. Join the mission and let's go. Thank you for joining the Black Women Amplified podcast, and I will see you in the next episode. And don't forget, head over to the show notes to support our power partners. They help keep this podcast going. And remember, the Self-Love Renaissance Journal is now available on Amazon. See you soon. Sending you peace, love, and tranquility.
Thank you for listening to Black Women Amplified. We hope you enjoyed the show. Be sure to subscribe and log on to blackwomenamplified.com for more information. Keep shining.